welcome everybody to the 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe and the most excited guest in the world, Maria Watson from our City Attorney's Office. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You do something that I don't think a lot of people have to deal with, which is ultimately a good thing, but you do a really good job of it. So first of all, why don't you tell us about what exactly is your job and what you do for the City of Reynoldsburg?
My job is the Criminal Justice Administrator, which is basically a probation officer. And I provide supervision to our clients through probation services while partnering with agencies that provide treatment services to them and ensuring that they follow through with these treatment services and other services that they provide for them.
So it's the treatment services that kind of separates us apart from other communities.
Absolutely.
Our treatment services are based on a recovery court system.
Correct.
So talk about what the recovery court is.
Recovery Court is a 2-year individual probation program that is designed to help an individual with substance abuse issues that has landed them in the legal system, not only with the substance abuse issues, but any other barriers that may keep them from becoming productive citizens.
And that's a huge thing, because that was something that was started by Chris Shook, the city attorney, and I remember going through the interview process, and I remember when your name came up and all of that other stuff, and you know, wow, he hit it out of the park. But what do you feel are some of the biggest challenges that people face when they're going through the recovery court process?
What I've noticed so far is being able to afford treatment. Nowadays, treatment facilities require you to have insurance. Mm-hmm. A lot of our clients don't have insurance initially when they first start. So I've been working with a few agencies that will give them a grace period to help them obtain insurance. Okay. So that's the biggest challenge right now. So
I know that you go through, and I guess the phrase is graduation from recovery court, and Attorney Shook was talking actually on Monday night when he was speaking highly of you. He talked about how in this most recent graduation cohort, I guess, you had 9 graduates, and 9 that kind of... So when you're sitting and you're watching graduation, how does that make you feel? Like, what do you see when you see that? Like, what are the reactions of the people that graduate, and how does that make you feel about all the work that has been put into it?
Graduation is a big deal for our clients. It is something that's talked about through their entire program. Just before graduation, the announcement's been put out that, hey, you're graduating, and kind of preparing. It's like a graduation ceremony. And we make them feel like that day is specifically about them. They receive a plaque, an achievement certificate, encouraging words from both all the clients that are in recovery court as well as myself and Chris. And it makes them feel special, honored, and glad that they made that achievement. And for me, it's just like watching my child graduate.
Is that the favorite part of your job, or do you have another favorite part of the job? Other than, of course, working for the city of Reynoldsburg. Of course.
It's one of them. But I get a very gratifying feeling watching someone who has come from a place or era where they thought they would never get out of. And to see them achieve accomplishments and goals that they set for themselves, it's rewarding.
Well, I know there's a lot of different schools of thought about, especially when we're talking about drug or alcohol addiction, and phrases like that I've heard community members say, once an addict, always an addict, or any number of other different things. And to have people that go through a program and get through it is a huge thing, and it's a barrier that's out there that I think needs to be addressed. You know, I think, I hate saying I was going to say 10 years ago, but apparently I'm older than that. So you're looking at the, just say no time frame in the 1980s, and how drug addiction was dealt with at that point in time, where it was much more punitive on the individual, as opposed to what now is basically, the mental and physical conditions that impact everything. And it's a huge step. I'm proud that we do this. Graduates that come through and the work that you do, because again, you're talking to people who are probably not at the best part of their lives in the beginning. Correct. And to see them kind of go through this process to become what everybody wants them to be, which is everybody's goal, just to have a well-rounded citizen that's out trying to do what they can.
Yes, so. It's very gratifying, especially when you hear from them months later, they're still doing well.
Okay. And that's a good thing. Yes. Well, I know you have a lot of things going on, but I do really appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
It's an important part of the city. Like I said, you have everybody that struggles with drug addiction. that comes into the law system. Not every community does something like this, and that's something that I'm proud that we're able to accomplish. So thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, and thank you
You're
for being on
welcome.
the show today.
Thank you.
All right. You're more than welcome to stay, but I know you got some things to do. So
Thank you.
everybody else, we got a lot of things going on the show today. We have probably one of the more important school board meetings coming up this Tuesday night, February 18th, here at City Hall. This is where the district is going to be discussing what potential cuts are going to be made for next school year. So if there's ever a time to get involved, if you haven't had the chance to go to some of the community focus group meetings and things of that nature, this is definitely one to be aware of. I don't believe any decisions have been made officially. I think that they have an idea of what the direction that they're going to go, but the more community feedback, the better, and they get that out there. So please go ahead and take care of that. And the reason why it's important is because of our kids. Yesterday, I was really privileged to have an opportunity to go to Slate Ridge and participate in their readathon. And so basically what that means is I get to go and I get to read to kindergartners, and I got to sit there and do the same thing where I open up the book and I'm reading, and kids are laughing, and a couple of the teachers were laughing at the book that I selected. And then at the end of that, they asked some questions, which were always good ones. What's my favorite food? What's my favorite color? Do I have any pets? And then they had an opportunity to kind of like color a little bit, and there was a kind of an activity that was done by one of the members of the parent-teacher organization. And I was lucky enough that I got 2 pictures. So if you want to show a couple of my new friends from Slate Ridge, I love you from my head to my tomatoes. So just say it slowly and you can figure it out, head to my toes. And it was just fun to see them all working together. They were coloring, and again, most people think, okay, coloring, it's not a big deal. But again, you're talking about hand-eye coordination. You're talking about working on some things and, staying in the lines and all that stuff, which some of us still can't do. So that's part of it, and that's why education is important. That's why this board meeting is important. That's why, the future of our district is important, because it's those kids that are going to be the ones that are going to feel the biggest impact all the way around. Beyond that, we have some cool things going on with code enforcement. It is apparently 1 year since our Reynoldsburg Engage app came across, and so we were looking at some of the numbers. We had 484 requests, and they were all by different people, not like the same few people. 471 of them were addressed. Now, the reason why there's a difference is because there's some things that are not code enforcement related. There are things that were sent through that app that's not a code enforcement thing. It took about a half a day on average for everybody to get acknowledged that, hey, we received your complaint and we're moving it through the system, and then 7 days to close or resolve the issues. Some were much earlier than that, but usually about 7 days would be there. Now, sometimes closing an issue meant, all right, let's say there's a street light that needs repaired. All right, we acknowledge it, and then we know the work order is in. It may take more than 7 days to get that street light fixed, especially if it's AEP, but at least we're aware of it and we're moving on. So it's a great system in there. It's on the App Store, so go ahead and check in iTunes or the App Store and download that. And as always, we've got our best updates, Wagner Road. Our Wagner Road update is this. The bridge is being worked on. You've seen the pictures. And I want to kind of talk a little bit about the timing of how all of this happened. So the bridge itself is controlled by Franklin County engineers. And because we were doing the Wagner Road project, they decided that it was in their best interest to go ahead and have us redo the bridge at the same time. Because if we're going to be widening the road and all of that, let's go ahead and do it at the same time, which was fine. It's a great partnership with Franklin County. What we didn't know is when we actually got into the bridge was not we were just looking to extend the wing walls, the things that hold the bridge up. But once they got in there and they took the top of the bridge off and they looked at the wing walls, they felt it would be best. The engineers from Franklin County, as well as us, felt it would be best not to just expand, but actually replace. And so that's what kind of delayed some of that process, because that's something that you don't know until literally you're like looking down in it. Throw in the fact that we got rain at the exact worst time possible, coming off of drought where there was not much of an issue, and then you're working on a bridge, and then we had that really bad week of cold temperatures. But either way, everything is back on track for the bridge portion of it. The project overall is still on track, so it's not like we've lost any time. Other agencies have been out there between specifically Columbia Gas and AEP. So we're hoping the bridge will be open for travel both north and southbound starting at the end of the month, early March. And then you'll have access all the way up to about St. Pius. And then when you get to there's a culvert that's the next thing to work on. So basically you'll have that kind of the stopping point where you can circulate from Main Street to St. Pius, and then on the other side from Broad Street all the way to St. Pius on the other side. And then we'll move to the next one all the way across. And again, we're still scheduled to get this road open in August and probably start phase 2 with actual real work sometime in September of this year, September, October. So that's Wagner Road. So that's part of that one. I did get a couple of questions that are kind of like around this from a resident. The first one is a really good question because I didn't know if you noticed this. There have been a lot of changes going on at the federal government lately. It's how money is allocated. So this is a great question. What percentage of the city budget is from federal grants, and has the recent executive pause on spending impacted our city? Good question. The answer is maybe. We really don't have a lot of federal money that comes into the city unless it is from specific grants. Congresswoman Beatty's office, former Senator Sherrod Brown, those are the two primary locations where we got federal funding, and so that's outside of the purview of some of the programs that the current administration is looking at. So those monies have already been allocated or will be allocated when the next budget passes because it's in a different bucket. The problem with the federal level government grants for us is we are kind of like Goldilocks. We're not poor enough to get the bigger grants, and we're not rich enough to do it on our own. So we're kind of that proverbial middle child that kind of just is in there, and we're like, okay, fine, it's Marcia's day again. So again, if you get the reference, you're perfect. You're our demographic for this show. But that's basically what that is. So we don't have to worry about a plan B for something that goes away. What we do have to worry about is how some of our community partners are being impacted by this, whether it's Heart Food Pantry, whether that's ETSS, who we've had on before that helps with asylum resettlement, whether it's Lutheran Services that deals with anything from Meals on Wheels to battered domestic violence victims. Those are the agencies that are being most impacted right now by this direction of the current administration. Those are the ones that are going to need support. Hopefully, the money will start flowing again when they realize how important these particular groups are to our communities all the way across. Next question is a good one. When is the maintenance facility being completed? We're looking at June, July of next year. Work is already being moved on right now, so you can go ahead and check that out. We're going to have some pictures up in the next couple of weeks, because obviously before there wasn't a lot you could see, but now we're really getting into it. And then what's going to happen to the land the other stuff is on, which is over off of Tura Road. Right now, the leading contender is park space. That's what we're looking at. So we'll reclaim some of that stuff and bring it back and do more of a parkscape thing there. And the last question from this particular one is any possibility of having Red Cross come to Reynoldsburg to offer a program to teach CPR and things of that nature? That's a really good idea. We are going to reach out to them and see if that's a possibility. So. All right, we'll go ahead and go back to the fun show. We do have our Flood Town Hall on Tuesday night. I know it's the same night as a school board meeting. It just happened to be that way. When this was originally scheduled, we did not know that this was going to be the meeting that the school district was going to be going for that. This is not going to be broadcast live, but when we do have the slideshow that's going to be there, we will put that out probably first thing the next day, Wednesday morning. For parks programming, we've got a couple of things. We've got the Wildlife Spotlight, which is Sunday, February 16th at Livingston House from 2 to 3:30. So it's going to be a cool thing. It's relatively new, so if you hadn't seen that before or heard about it, go check it out online. We are still accepting applications or participation for our princess party. Not to be the princess, I think we've got that covered, but by all means, wear your princess outfit and a tiara. That's going to be Saturday, March 15th from 9:30 to 11:30 at the Reynoldsburg Police Department. There's going to be crafts and songs and more, and I'm going to bet more songs on top of that, so enjoy. If the Princess Party isn't your thing, but you still want to get out and hang out with some people, we have the Adult Cornhole League, which is a completely different environment, and that's going to be at Eastside Brewery beginning May 6th through June 24th from 6 to 9 p.m. It's every Tuesday. It's $40 to register for a team of 5. But you have your 2 competitors each time. So it's a great opportunity. If you have not been to Eastside Brewery, it's a great place. You've got Slab, you've got some wonderful beverages and things like that. Pretty sure a lot of members of staff here, that's where they enjoy some of their late Friday afternoons after they're off the clock. And then last but not least is the Karate Little Kick. And these sessions will begin Monday, February 24th through March 24th for 5 weeks. This is for everyone ages 3 to 6 years old, from 5:15 to 5:45, and take a look at it. It's an opportunity to get kids a little bit more physically involved and learn a little bit about karate. Any questions or anything that come up?
Not today.
All right, we'll go to. I know I've got to call another one, but we'll get to that in a second. Bryce Park, yay, it's working. Right now, basically, legal's reviewing it, but work is going to continue on with that one pretty quick. So it's good. It's just one of those things where, again, lawyers have to dot the I's and cross the T's on everything. As far as our development department, we've got a lot of things going on. One, we have a BYOB event, which is on March 13th from 6 to 7:30 at the Reynoldsburg Community Church. We've got a lot of businesses that will be there looking for employees, but also an opportunity for people to look and investigate what it would be like if they started their own business. So they will learn from how to get some different loans and talk with some of our building people in our building department and permitting to see what that's like. So it's a good opportunity. Also have a chamber breakfast, Chick-fil-A, read a tax process, because if there's nothing anybody wants to do more than talk read a tax at 7:30 in the morning, I just don't know what to tell you. But that's coming up as well. We do have a Chase Bank grand opening, and that's going to be tomorrow morning from 8. I think they've got a whole celebration from like 8 to 10 o'clock that they're doing, but the official ribbon cutting is going to be relatively early. We also have the new Hallmark store is open, but the official grand opening is going to be on February 28th at 9:30. So if you're already ready to get in line for your Christmas ornaments, because it's that type of thing, then by all means. We also have Jersey Mike's is open, and we're working with them to establish a grand opening as well. So, we can do that and hopefully grab lunch right afterwards. Other development news. This is a really good question. The dispensary at 256 in Livingston is still slated to open. But there have been some changes being discussed at the State House. So I've been talking with state representatives and other agencies about what that may do to impact everything. There's a lot of things that were passed in that issue that allowed for recreational marijuana. The biggest impact on the cities is the funding that was going to be given to us by the revenue from those sales would actually go to the cities. Strangely enough, the state decided that that's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to increase the tax and put all the money in the state general fund. Now, we'll see if that holds out. I've been told that that's more or less a placeholder, that some of the local municipalities are going to be able to do something a little bit differently with that, but we'll have to see. But again, the big issue is that money was supposed to come to the cities, and I know that's what all the major metropolitan cities that have it, that will have a recreational facility, are looking for, because that's what we were anticipating. So there was actually an article in the Dispatch and on NBC on that one earlier. Let's see what else we got. We have some other cool things coming up. While the weather is not necessarily enjoyable, we are pretty soon going to be having all sorts of great community events, and the need for vendors are out there. So if you want to be a vendor for any of our events, whether it's the Farmers Market, Artist and Makers Market, or our big community events like Pride, Juneteenth, Diwali, and of course, the granddaddy of them all, the Tomato Festival, go ahead and check it out on our website and our Facebook page and get those applications in. We're taking everything in-house, so if you see a little thing that says, hey, we still have openings and it's not the city of Reynoldsburg, they're lying to you and they're bad people, so don't follow that. Beyond that, we've got the Reynoldsburg Community Association Spaghetti Dinner Fundraiser, Saturday, March 29th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Messiah Lutheran. Again, this organization is dedicated to providing our 4th of July parade, our Halloween event, as well as Christmas on the Town. And let's be honest, it's spaghetti, and they usually have those Texas Roadhouse rolls with the cinnamon butter, so that's always a big plus. It's good food. You can pick it up and take it home, or you can stay there and eat, but it's an opportunity, again, to support our community. So special shout out to the Community Association. They will be on the show in the not too distant future, and we'll talk more about that. We also have a blood drive at the Reynoldsburg Library this Friday, because it's Valentine's Day, and if we're going to go with the heart theme thing, then the blood that's pumping into your heart, they need. I guess. I don't know. Check it out, but it's a great opportunity. Anytime that you donate blood, it does save people's lives. And it doesn't take very long, and as long as you don't look at the needle, then you pretty much don't feel any pain. Beyond that, any questions, anything pop up?
Yeah, we have 2 questions come in. The first one is, when will work start in the old PNC site?
That is a really good question. We are hoping that start will probably be August, September-ish of this year. My personal preference is to not have it happen until after the Tomato Festival, because that tends to be a really good place for some additional parking. That's kind of where we're working at right now.
Next question, and I was able to pull the information so I can help assist with the answer. It says, will we know before the BYOB what businesses will be at the job fair? I'm wondering if it would be good for a young college-age person or just professionals. And I did get an email. Would you like me to answer that?
Yeah, I do believe that this is more for your professionals as opposed to, like, let's say, high schoolers things. I think there'll probably be some opportunity for college graduates as well. But
yeah,
go ahead
there is. It does go on both spectrums. We're looking for LPNs and medical assistants, civilian and sworn officer positions, restaurant managers, tax preparers. Instructors in marketing and sales, insurance independent agents, hostess, bussers, and kitchen work at the Hickory House, and administration and teaching at the Primrose School. So it's all over the place, and we still have people applying and registering for the event. So
it's always a good thing. It's a good question. To find out a little bit more, because obviously I've been holding back a couple of things about the city because we have the State of the City next week. It's going to be here at City Hall on Wednesday, the February 19th. The doors are going to open at 6:30 and we'll get started about 7 o'clock or so. We did our first run through yesterday and it was only 2.5 hours long of a speech. I'm just kidding. It was actually, it's probably going to be about 45 minutes or so, give or take. But it's a great opportunity to learn a little bit about where we've come from this last year, and most especially some cool things that are coming on the horizon that we haven't really talked about yet on this show. But it gives you a really good opportunity to see exactly what we all do here at City Hall. So I hope you're able to join us live in person, or you can watch it on Facebook as we go through. Couple of other things that kind of come up is we do have our next 12 o'clock show next week, and we're going to continue celebrating African American History Month, and we're going to bring Reynoldsburg City Clerk of Courts, Leslie Clark, is going to join us. It's been a couple years since she's been on the show, and she's looking just as forward to this as Maria was, but we appreciate it. Leslie's not going to be able to get you out of a parking ticket or a speeding ticket or anything like that, but she's at least going to tell you how the process goes. But a couple of things have come up a little bit that I just wanted to kind of talk about. One, again, I know it's kind of odd that I keep bringing this up. Nazis keep coming up in the conversation. I don't know why. If you were not aware of it, there was a Nazi protest in just outside of Cincinnati in one of the suburbs. Did not end as well this time around as the time that they came to Clintonville, but they're there. And there's concerns, and the reason why I bring that up is because right now in the Ohio House of Representatives, the Senate has been debating a bill that gives equal opportunity for those views to be presented as actual fact. Senate Bill 1 is actually talking about how you can present the other side of the story when it comes to the teachings of the Holocaust, that you provide a justifiable view for what a German soldier did. It's not a good idea. This is not about academic freedom. This is an opportunity, the way this is written, that you could have teachers and or students say that I don't believe in the Holocaust and I don't believe it happened. And no matter what factual information you present, teachers could get in trouble if they express their opinion that no, the Holocaust did happen. So pick any event in history in the entire world, and now all of a sudden things that have been, I guess you could say, I would say settled historical issues, the impact on enslavement of Africans being brought over, that now all of a sudden could be up for discussion. The Holocaust could be up for discussion, other issues all the way across. And this bill is being designed to go that way in the view of academic freedom, which is actually the exact opposite of what would be. Now, there's other parts of the bill in there as well. But what we're seeing with this is you see that this is the conversation at the State House about allowing these types of things, and then you actually have Nazis or presumably Nazis protesting in different parts of the city, including Central Ohio and now Cincinnati. So there's things out there that you need to kind of take a look at. The other thing that I've seen out there, especially when it relates to the Department of Education and our school district in general, or even the city, is this idea of there's always fraud and there's waste and things of that nature. I'm not going to say that there isn't waste. I'm not going to deny that. People can argue whether or not it is. I will argue the fraud part of it, just because of the fact that everybody goes through all these audits all the time and things of that nature. What I really think it comes down to is people don't like what they're spending money on. And so because they don't like a particular thing, they're going to call it fraud. That's not necessarily how it works. I know the Department of Education gets a lot of garbage about it, but the reality is, if you've ever taught in a school district, or if you've ever had kids in school that have received gifted services, special education services, English as a second language services, federal grants for Title I funding, for reading comprehension and things like that, those are all things that are coming from the Department of Education. That's not fraud. That's not even waste. That is legitimate stuff that helps relieve the burden of what happens with our public schools within the state of Ohio and across the country. And when people talk about eliminating that particular thing, those are the issues that are there. Now, nothing's been presented as a plan about how that funding would then go directly to the states. I know people have talked about it, but that's not a guarantee. And as we've seen with what the state does, the state could say, sure, we're going to go ahead and take that in, and then they could divert it and go somewhere else, and the schools would never see it. They could send it to private schools. They could do anything that they want with it, but this allows at least the local school districts to accept and receive those funds. So those are issues that are out there that are facing us, and just because you don't like something doesn't necessarily mean it's fraud or waste. Doesn't mean you can't look, but it doesn't necessarily always mean the same thing. So that's all I've got for that particular thing. Do we have any questions that have come in?
We did have one question
Okay.
come in. It's a good opportunity to engage Reynoldsburg, but it says the trash on Rose Hill Road and Main Street by the new Chase Bank is out of control. Can we look into this?
Yeah, absolutely. I've not seen it, but I've also not driven by there in the last couple of days. Typically, when it comes to this, is we notify the businesses, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to have it all cleaned up tomorrow for their grand opening, but we'll see. But we'll definitely take a look with them and have a conversation with them that they need to maintain some of that issue around there, which is a great opportunity to also talk about how sometimes people need to throw trash in a trash can or in a trash bag and not out on the street and not out on the road and things of that nature. I think we've all seen it at some point or another where literally somebody will roll the window down, they'll take a bag of fast food and they'll just drop it right outside the window and then drive on. As if that's really the best thing to do about it. Now, I'm not saying that that's what's happening at Chase, but we've all seen those things, so we also need to work better to make sure that we clean everything up on our own. So if you want to, it's a great segue. The litter cleanup opportunities we have here in the city is a great thing for you to participate in. So if you want to have a group or an organization sponsor a particular section of road where we will provide the trash pickers, the garbage bags, and all of those things, go ahead and do it. Then we can actually put a sign out there and say that you and your organization were actually cleaning things up. So it's a good question, a good positive way to spin on that one. Any other questions?
That's it.
All right, everybody else, please stay safe, stay respectful, drive safely out there, especially if there's any winter weather coming over the next couple of weeks. And see you next Wednesday or next Tuesday night at the flood meeting or next Wednesday at the State of the City. See you, everybody.